I have been using Android for 15 years, ever since the T-Mobile G1 came out. I've been using Android ever since that time. I've had a ton of different Androids, but now with the switch to USB-C, I wanted to see what all the hype of the iPhone was about. So I decided to pick one up and I wanted to see, is this the time that I should be switching to iPhone? Is it something I can use maybe as a second phone, a work phone for recording videos and taking calls, like business calls and things? So I picked it up. I've been using it for 3 days. So for those 3 days, I've pretty much been exclusively using the iPhone. I have my Galaxy S23 Ultra here. I am recording with the iPhone in 4K with the front-facing camera, and I'm using my mic accessory, but I did have a little problem with a file, so I had to re-record this intro. And the rest of the video you'll hear might look a little weird because I'm having trouble transferring files to Windows, which I'll talk about. And I'm using the internal microphone in the next part. So for now, this is what you get. I can use this accessory, which I did use with my Galaxy. Now it did come with a lightning port for this accessory, but I wanted to try it out. This is USB-C with this microphone on the iPhone. And I have my notes here. These notes were taken on the iPhone app. I just took a screenshot and shared them to my Galaxy so I could record with the iPhone. And other things are coming later in the video, but there's two things I didn't mention that I do want to mention up front here. So first of all, no back button on the iPhone is really lame on Android. If you don't know, I can't show you my screen right now, but if you swipe like this and swipe up, it'll just take you back wherever you are, whatever app you're in, it'll go back. If you keep hitting it, you'll eventually get to the home screen. Of course, you can just go directly to the home screen. Whereas with the iPhone, I've noticed back is usually in the top left, which on these huge phones, you can't really reach. Or some apps are all different. Some apps you can swipe to the right and that'll take you back. And then even in the X app, most things, if you swipe right, it'll take you back till you get back to the home screen. But if you're looking at a picture on X, you swipe up and that'll take you back like out of the picture. So that's been really weird and confusing and inconsistent throughout the entire OS. Even like things on the iPhone, like Apple stuff is different. It's very weird. So I don't like that. I think this is inferior on the iPhone versus Android, but again, I'm open to it just being something I need to get used to as I continue to use the phone. And then on top of that, some things I'm noticing on the iPhone simply just work better. A couple examples, I have the Tesla app. It works so much better on the iPhone. And then another one, the Yi Home app. It's like a home security camera kind of thing. On Android, sometimes I open that app, I click a camera and it just loads and loads. So again, I have to back out, click the camera again, and then it'll work almost immediately. The iPhone, that has never happened. Every time I open that app and click a camera, oh, it's loaded. So I am noticing that in certain apps there are more polish. So that's something I've really enjoyed about the iPhone. So enjoy this next part. This is the part that's filmed with the internal mic and some weird, I don't know, I tried to fix how it looks, but I think it's gonna look a little weird. And that's because the last thing I wanna complain about, when I record a video or have a photo on my Android, I literally just boop, plug in USB-C and drag and drop the files on my computer, and that's it, I'm done. With the iPhone, again, maybe it's me, maybe I messed something up and I just don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I plug in the iPhone. First of all, I can't see all the files. There's literally one weirdly named folder on there that has pictures and videos, and there's nothing else. Whereas on my Android, I can see literally every file on there, the whole file system. And some of the pictures and videos, I move over and they move over fine and I have no problem. Other pictures and videos, my computer doesn't know what they are, they don't load, and whatever. So I lost a good amount of footage that I had recorded with the iPhone because I cut it from the iPhone and pasted it to my computer, and it's off the iPhone, and whatever happened to moving to my computer, it's like not readable anymore and there's nothing I can do with it. On top of that, you can't drag things from the computer to the iPhone. Like, what a weird experience. Like, it's my iPhone. Why can't I, and in my computer, why can't I put stuff on there? Like, I want to put a picture on there, let me. So that's been really weird. I have found workarounds using the VLC app on iPhone. You can actually connect to it over Wi-Fi and just download it from your computer. But so I'm having trouble with that. I went into the camera settings and changed from the high efficiency formats, which Androids have those too, but it's never been a problem for me. I changed from the high efficiency formats to the most compatible setting. I don't really notice much of a difference in the file sizes so far, so whatever, but that I think is gonna fix my problem and help me move this, what I'm recording, over to my computer so I can edit this video. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and I look forward to talking to you down in the comments about this conundrum, because am I gonna keep the iPhone? Am I gonna return it? Am I gonna make it my primary phone? Should I get a Mac? Should I, jump into the ecosystem? Probably not, but we'll see. So let me just dive right into my notes and tell you kind of what I've experienced the first few days, what I picked up on, and I wanna say, I am not an iPhone expert at all. I've literally never used them before the past 3 days. So what I'm saying here is I'm not saying this is good, this is bad, etc. It's just the things I've noticed. If I get some things wrong, please let me know down in the comments. If I say like, oh, I can't do this on the iPhone, and you're like, what the heck, yes, you can, just let me know, because I just honestly probably don't know that I can do it as much as I've tried. So the first thing I have, Face ID, It works really well compared to Face Unlock on Samsung. It is awesome. It works at night. There's no problem there. I can barely be looking at the phone and it unlocks every single time. The experience of picking up the phone, the screen waking up just from me picking it up, which I assume you can turn off, but I left it on, being unlocked before I'm even ready to swipe it up is excellent. On the Samsung, I did have lift to wake off for a while, and just because it didn't work that well, but when I've used it, it usually takes it a second to wake up after you pick it up. And then Samsung, of course, has the under screen fingerprint scanner, which I use. I also have the Face Unlock for the Samsung on here. It's not as good, it's not as fluid as what I'm seeing with the iPhone. So I love that experience. Face ID is awesome, especially for like purchasing apps or downloading apps. You are verified instantly and you double click the power button to download stuff. It's awesome. I love that. On Android, though, it's nice because if I've unlocked my phone and I go into the Play Store, I can just click download on the app. Obviously, I've unlocked my phone, I'm using it. So it's kind of weird you need that, double unlock for the App Store. I don't hate it, but it is a little weird. And then if you don't know on Android, if you're going to buy an app, then you have to either do fingerprint or face unlock or put in your password to actually spend money. But free apps, you can just click download and they download right away. So far, certain apps have no picture-in-picture, and I thought I couldn't do it on the iPhone at all, but I realized like Netflix and YouTube, of course, have the picture-in-picture on here. But I use like the Yi Home camera app. We use it to watch like the baby monitors. And on Android, it can do picture-in-picture, which I love. And from what I've seen on the iPhone, it doesn't have that. I think iPhone is just a little more towards like securing things and not letting apps do stuff to your phone. Whereas Android, you're a little freer. And of course, it's security versus features, kind of that trade-off. I've always gone for Android because I'm a nerd. And of course, if you're watching this, you're probably somewhat of a nerd. You're watching a video about a phone or a couple of phones. And so I want to tinker and I want to do all that stuff and sideload the apps and blah, blah, blah. So some of the restrictions, which I think we'll get into later, I'm not enjoying so much on the iPhone. It's like, it's my phone, let me do what I want to do. The iPhone camera experience. So there's a few kind of aspects here. Now let's start with just using the camera and opening it. It is faster on the iPhone. Now I'm using the action button right now. I've been kind of playing with some different things, but the action button I have set to my camera. So I hold the button, the camera, no matter what, the phone is totally asleep, the phone's on, you're in another app, you hold that button, and every single time you hold that button, your camera's open in 2 seconds, like faster than that. On the Samsung, you have the double click. Let's see if it'll happen here, but if I double click here, so see how that it took a little tiny bit of time? The iPhone's faster than that. So you can see that the Samsung does have a quick access to the camera, but it's just not as quick. Sometimes it takes even longer than that. And then when you actually go to press the shutter button, if you've been following this stuff, you've probably heard this before, there is a bit of a lag on the Samsung, no matter how, this thing is wicked fast and it works really well. But when it comes to the camera app, the iPhone smokes it. And I love that. It's actually one of the most important things for me, having kids and dogs, and I just love taking pictures of nature and whatever. Like I took this picture of a frog. I can put up the Samsung and the Samsung and the iPhone comparison. And just to have the camera come up faster, there have already been shots, like with my kids when they're in the middle of doing something, that if I think if I was using my Samsung, I would have missed the shot. Whereas with the iPhone, it opened so fast and took the picture so fast, I didn't miss that moment. And that's probably the biggest draw for me, is that smoothness and that kind of snappiness you're getting. And it surprised me. It really caught me off guard because back in the day, Android, was a little laggier and iPhone kind of took care of that earlier. But these days, Android is not laggy. It works really well. You can fly through apps and do whatever you want all over the place. But just these little things, and I don't notice it, but now that I'm comparing it directly with the iPhone, it's like, wow, there is just this little bit of, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but in the camera, it doesn't open as fast. It doesn't take pictures as fast. But all around the phone, just the way scrolling works and moving through apps and kind of doing the multitasking and all, it's just something about the iPhone just that little bit better. I think iPhone has less touch latency, if I remember correctly, so maybe that's what I'm noticing, but there's some kind of magic there where it just feels a little bit nicer and a little more fluid moving around the phone. Something with the iPhone that's really annoying compared to Android is when you want to get into the settings of something. So like the camera, for example, if I want to change the settings of the camera, of course you have a couple little toggles on the left there before you start recording or whatever. But if you really want to change some settings, you go to the system settings to change stuff about the camera. Again, maybe this is just me being used to Android. I'm totally open to that, but I find it very strange that I have to leave the app I want to change the settings of, go into the settings of the phone and kind of dig in and all that. On Android, there's always a settings button somewhere. There's either 3 dots or a hamburger menu or whatever, and you can adjust that app from there. On the iPhone, if I want to change something, for a lot of things that I've noticed, correct me if I'm wrong, I have to leave the app, go to the settings. It's very cumbersome. And like, for the most part, it doesn't matter that much. But when you really want to dig into something and change a bunch of settings, that's where the problems start. All right, I'm probably going to get destroyed for this one. But so far, iMessage, I don't, like, who cares? I don't understand what the hype is about. This is one of the things I was most excited for because iMessage is supposed to be this magical thing. It works so well. There's so much more you can do with it. And of course, immediately I started texting my friends with iPhones and be like, hey, here's my iPhone number. Talk to me on here because blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, I don't understand. I know there's the whole meme of like, oh, the blue bubbles and the green bubbles, which I find it so funny that on the home screen, the texting app, the iMessage app is green. And then when you jump into the conversation, you want blue for the conversation because your own text, which I got this wrong. It's your own text messages. The messages I send from the iPhone are blue if the other person's using an iPhone, and the messages I send from my phone are green if the other person's using not an iPhone. And the other person's messages, no matter what they're using, are always gray. So it's just weird. I haven't found a huge benefit to using iMessage so far. And I've tried. I've really tried. I made a group text with people at work that only have iPhones. And, I've done all that stuff. And so far, I don't know. I'm not seeing it. Maybe as I use the phone more, I'll see it. Kill me in the comments for that one and let me know what I should be looking for. Now, on my Android, I do use a mix of Signal, Facebook Messenger, and just normal. It's RCS now, so it is a little more advanced. Maybe that's some of why iMessage isn't so magical to me. But Signal is awesome. I love using Signal. It works really well. And then texting, like I don't mind texting. Texting works fine just as well. So far I have not noticed the magic of iMessage. Correct me where I need to be looking to find it. So that leads me into something that's kind of, going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I was talking to my one friend who uses an iPhone with iMessage, and I tried to use one of the, I didn't realize, but it's a new feature, the like check-in, whatever. You can like say, hey, I have arrived at my thing, I'm safe, whatever, I don't know, whatever it is. I didn't realize it came with iOS 17, so it's brand new to iPhone. And I tried to do that to him and like check in. I was at some restaurant and it's like, oh, you can't do that with this iPhone user. And I sent him the picture and I'm like, wow, so much for like the magic of iMessage. I can't even use this special iMessage feature with you. What's going on? And this is where I'm kind of going to get into a little tangent, but he's like, oh, I haven't updated yet. And I'm like, what? There's an update available and you haven't done it yet? Like, phone nerds know, you're like, oh, an update, I can't wait. I want, I know a lot of the iPhone people go on the latest beta and all that. And for me, whenever there's an update, I'm like, oh, I want the update immediately. I want to see what it's about, blah, blah, blah. But iPhone people, yes, I'm generalizing, iPhone people in general don't care that much. So he didn't care. He's like, yeah, I've been busy. I'll update when I can, whatever. And it's just like, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like you just don't care. And I guess that's part of the magic of the iPhone is it just works and people don't care and they just want it out of their way. They just want it as a tool to kind of do what it does. Whereas me and other nerdy people are like excited about all these things. On top of that, I was with a group of people, including this friend who the location sharing thing wasn't working with. And a lot of them have iPhones. And I kind of mentioned, I was like, yeah, I got the new 15 Pro Max yesterday. And they were like, oh, cool. End of conversation. One of them pulled out the iPhone 12 mini and was like, yeah, I still have this one. And like that, it looked kind of cool to be so small, but he just didn't care. Nobody cared. They're just like, oh yeah, who cares? They're all the same. Like, I don't care about updates. They're not excited about it. And it made me think like, what is with people getting so excited about it on the internet? Because when you look at like Michael Fisher or MKBHD, like their biggest videos are of the year, for the most part, are iPhone. They get all their views, or they get a lot of views from iPhone videos. And like nothing changes. And that's the state of a lot of smartphones these days, to be honest. But those are like the biggest videos and people are excited to watch them. I watch them myself. I've never owned an iPhone, but I'll watch those videos. And it's just made me think like, wait, in the real world, nobody cares. They're just like, oh, iPhone, no one cares. But then online, you get this skewed thing of like, everyone's so excited for the latest iPhone. Meanwhile, people are out in the wild using a 4-year-old iPhone that's still getting updates. Like, why would they care? It does what they needed to do. They don't have to spend any extra money. And it's still being updated. It's still secure and functional. So it's just, I don't know. It was a weird kind of experience for me. And same thing with people at my work. They don't care. They're like, yeah, I have whatever. They didn't even know. I asked my one coworker what iPhone he had, and he was like, I'm not sure. I think it's the 13. He had to like go in the system settings or whatever to figure it out. Charging on the iPhone for me so far has been really slow. Yes, I have high wattage chargers because the Samsung does like 45 watts, I think, and the iPhone, I didn't look it up. I guess I could, but some people online are like, oh, it does 20 watts. And some people are like, oh, it does 30 watts. And like, nobody seems to know exactly. I think it is 30 watts for the Pro Max, but maybe I'll put it on the screen or something. But it seems to charge really slow compared to my Galaxy S23 Ultra. And I don't like, you don't get any information. So when I plug in my Galaxy or wireless charge, it says, a big thing pops up. You're at this percentage and it's going to be this long until it's full. And it also says charging, fast charging, or super fast charging to let you know kind of what charging you're doing at the time. With the iPhone, you plug it in and nothing happens. It's just like the battery turns green and that's it. You don't know anything. You don't know if it's charging super slow. You don't know if it's going to take 10 hours or 1 hour or what's going on. So I don't like the charging experience very much. It's just not very informative, which I think is kind of a theme of the iPhone. They're like, oh, you don't worry, simpleton. Like, we'll just handle everything. Just plug in and walk away. So yeah, I'm not enjoying that aspect too much. So I'll keep trying. Maybe there's something, but I have like Thunderbolt 3 cables and all this stuff that should be charging it quickly. But just for me so far, it doesn't charge very fast. It does last forever though. So far, my battery is wicked good. I am loving that, and I'm using this like as my main phone. So I'm kind of setting my Android to the side, and I'm using this for everything, all my pictures, and scrolling on X and YouTube and all that. So the battery in that aspect is really, really good so far. I'm very happy with it. Now the notification bar, if that's what it's called on iPhone, at the top is huge. It's really fat, and there's like not much there. So it's like, because of the dynamic island or something, there's this big chunk of space at the top of the screen that's being taken up. And sometimes it's a little distracting, like there's so much up there, there's so much empty space up there for nothing. So I don't know why it's like that, and I don't like it. It's like, I have this big screen, this nice screen, and you're wasting, whatever percentage of it on literally nothing. The dynamic island though, I do actually really like. When I first saw it, like I'm sure a lot of people did, I kind of rolled my eyes like, okay, whatever, they're just trying to hide it, whatever. But it's kind of cool, like when you have a timer on, which I use all the time, it shows the timer up there. Or if you have like a YouTube video playing in the background, it'll show up there that whatever's playing, and you can click it, and then wherever you are, it'll take you back to the media that's playing at the time. So I actually really like the dynamic island, and it's just kind of fun, and it works really well, and like the animations are super nice. Like I said earlier, it's just so fluid. Everything about the iPhone is so fluid and nice. I don't think I've seen a single stutter on anything. I mean, it's just very cool. And so I'm enjoying that, but yeah, the notification bar is weird. And then on top of that, notifications are very confusing for me. Again, I'm sure it's just because I'm used to one system and this is something different. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just sharing my experience coming from Android to this. I pull down the shade, and like on the right side is some settings, but to go to the actual system settings, you gotta go back to the home screen and click the settings app. But when you pull that down, there's like some settings there. But if you pull from the middle, which why would you want to do that? The dynamic island's there and you're going to wipe all over your camera. Or you pull from the left, then I think it's the notification shade comes down, but it looks exactly the same as the lock screen. And then I put some widgets there, but they don't seem to do anything. And I don't know, it's just like a really weird experience. And then usually the notifications are all like bunched up at the bottom, and like I'll click them and sometimes they do something and sometimes they do something else. Again, it's probably just part of the learning curve, but notifications on Android are way superior to this. And I remember some news from a while ago that iPhone had updated notifications and made them much better and more Android-like, but just my first couple days, they're not easy to use. They're not very user-friendly, and I'm kind of confused by them. But maybe that's just the boomer in me getting confused by new, fancy tech. So my overall thoughts after these past 3 days, I was very excited to try something new. I just love tech, and I love trying all this new stuff. But I gotta say, I was surprised at the similarity of the iPhone to my Samsung experience. And I know the iPhone, a lot of people told me, is all about the ecosystem. And I actually had some iPhone users refute that, and they said, actually, you don't need that anymore. Everything's on the cloud, so what's the difference? I was very surprised they said that. I thought it was all about having the Mac and having the iPad and having the Apple TV, and it all just, magically works together. But what I think a lot of Apple people maybe don't understand, and I didn't really, understand this either before trying both, is Samsung has pretty much the same thing. So like I have the Samsung Watch, I have the earbuds, the Galaxy Buds. It's all the same kind of idea of it all just works together. My Windows PC has something on it, so my phone's connected to it. I can text from my PC. I can easily transfer some files, not all of them, like bigger files won't transfer, but pictures and stuff are available right there. I can like literally just use my phone from my computer with that app. So I have all that kind of integration, and it works the same. So like when you get new earbuds, like Galaxy Buds from Samsung, you literally just open them and then you click connect and you're done. Same with the watch. It just automatically detects it and it all magically works together, and it's very nice. I mean, it's a great experience. And I think from what I'm gathering, the iPhone experience is very similar. Now, I don't want to be spending like thousands of dollars buying all these crazy things to test the whole ecosystem thing unless I really, get into this. But for now, from what I can kind of experience, I think it's very similar. I think it's a very similar experience. And kind of my overall takeaway from this is if you're in one ecosystem, like Apple or Samsung or whatever, and I guess I should add, I've tried tons of different Android phones, not just Samsung, but they're just by far the best lately in terms of camera and battery life and everything. Whereas Pixels are fine, but they're always skimping on something, and I'm always nervous Google's just gonna cancel my phone at some point because they cancel everything. But so the Samsung ecosystem works really well. the Apple's ecosystem, from what I hear, is marvelous and works amazingly and nothing ever goes wrong. Honestly, that's like all I hear. So from what I can see, there's really no point in switching from one to the other unless there's something really specific you need. Like, I'm all set up on Android. So like if I had to pick right now, if someone's like, all right, you have to get rid of one of these phones, either get rid of the iPhone or get rid of your Galaxy, I would definitely get rid of the iPhone, not because it's a bad phone. It's a great phone so far and I'm really enjoying it, but I have all the Galaxy stuff and everything's all set up and I'm used to it. So why would I switch? And it goes the other way too. If you're on an iPhone, there's like no reason to switch to a Galaxy or any other, Android device, because the iPhone works great and you're not really going to gain anything. There's little things here and there on both sides that you gain. Like iPhone always gets app updates first, or usually, and certain features come to iPhone first or are iPhone exclusive forever, and you'll never get them on Android. But overall, like, I was mostly surprised by how similar the experience was. They're just kind of blow for blow in everything. Like camera quality, some pictures I like the iPhone better, some pictures I like the Android better, but neither are bad. Just sometimes this one's better, sometimes this one's better. Same with video. So far, from what I can tell, I haven't done a ton of video yet on the iPhone. Actually, I have, but I haven't edited it yet. The video's great on the Galaxy, and it's great on the iPhone. So overall, I guess I was just mostly surprised at how similar the experience was and how I didn't feel like I was really gaining much of anything outside of a few very small things that I noticed by going with iPhone. And my biggest thought is maybe if I did this like 8 years ago or something, or maybe 5 years ago, I'm not sure. Android's been good for a while. I might have been like, whoa, this is so much better and more fluid, and I don't want to put up with the Android jankiness anymore. That used to be a kind of a feature almost of Android. But Android's matured right along with iPhone, and I don't know. I see no point for anyone to switch unless you like hate Apple or hate somebody and need to switch and to spite them. So overall, I look forward to talking with you about this down in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know. Hit like, subscribe if you did. Help me get up there to 1,000 subs. And if you like this, I will update you in a few months or whatever if I do keep the iPhone, because I may return it. So let me know what you think, and you will see me in the next video.